All right, this is a follow-up on my no more cable TV for me, and it kind of made me think. Well, okay, so if I'm not watching cable TV, what am I watching? Well, I'm gonna go back in my history, and I'm in my mid 60s now, and so I started watching TV when I was in the mid 60s. And as a child, as a young man, a French-speaking young man in the 60s, I most fondly remember this one campy TV show that was wildly popular for only a few years. If I remember the original Batman, it was a full caricature of the magazines of the time, or the books about that character, and it was full of innuendos and innuendos most kids didn't get, but adults would. So that's why it made it popular for them. And also, it was littered with movie star cameos because everybody wanted to be part of it. So I've gone back to try and rewatch some of it, and it's bad TV, but it was enjoyable at the time. Now after that, my wife and I started rewatching some of the classics from the 70s, and most notably Columbo. Yes, that bumbling detective, or seemingly bumbling detective, that always gets his guy. You know what? I think there's a couple of exceptions in there, but for the most part, yeah, he always gets his guy in an hour and 40 minutes. But that show was distinctly different from all the other detective shows, because instead of working up to uncovering the culprit, you see the crime, you see the bad guy right from the beginning, and now the suspense comes in how the detective Columbo unravels the crime. Another good show was The Rockford Files. It's featuring James Rockford, or James Garner. And unfortunately, he never seems to get paid, but he usually unravels the crime. And you could be sure that you're going to see a gold Firebird car chase somewhere along the lines. There was Starsky and Hutch. A little bit more psychological drama, a little bit more personal character development, and of course, the striped tomato, that Ford Gran Torino. There was also Quincy, that gruffy medical examiner. That was a pretty good suspenseful show. Another one of my favorites that only lasted a couple of seasons was George Peppard's Banachek, a sharp-dressed, sarcastic, sharp private detective, who uncovers the most complicated theft of high-dollar items. That was always good. So that was pretty much the 70s. The 80s, of course, there was the big show Miami Vice, and of course also Magnum PI, and we tried watching some of those shows again, and somehow they just haven't dated as well. They seem not as well crafted and well designed and well acted. So what else comes up? Moonlighting featuring a young Bruce Willis. He does that smart alecky character so well, and that certainly carried him into his movie career and all of the diehards and that he's done. So that type of character is something that I've always enjoyed. He's a bit of a flawed character, but not too much, and just a real good smart ass. Now, on the more gritty side, there was Hill Street Blues. That was a ground changing episodal show that would really showed a lot of emotion. And I mean, if you watch the very first episode, you're going to be left thinking, "Wow, that was great." There was Cagney and Lacey, and they're bringing in the female characters, strong female characters. That was a good show. The 90s brought in the onslaught of Law and Order and CSIs, which spawned endless cast-offs of CSI Miami, CSI LA, CSI New York, and then Law and Order and the 50 other following iterations. There was also NYPD Blue, very gritty show. And also The Third Watch, another really gritty police drama. Well, getting into the 2000s, Murdoch Mystery, very what's uncelebrated Canadian show that's still on today. I actually worked on that show when I was in the movie industry. Very good show. Now, getting back to the smart alecky detective, The Mentalist. That was a great show. That would be in the early 2000s. Castle, featuring Nathan Fillion. He's a hardworking Canadian actor, but he's another one of those smart alecky characters. And getting away from the detective or homicide or criminal detective, there's House, who's a detective show of sorts, but it's based on medical drama. But he's another one of these smart alecky, I know better type characters that of course is flawed. Moving on, there's The Closer. Kara Sedgwick plays a really good leading lady. It's another one of those really good detective shows where she always gets her guy. Moving into the 2010s, one show on A&E that never really got a lot of recognition is The Glades, with an Australian actor of all sorts that has a perfect American accent. Another one of these smart alecky guys that's just funny enough and that always gets his guy. Elementary. Elementary is a take on Sherlock Holmes. A little bit over the top sometimes because somehow, the stain on the cigarette butt would tell me this, but it's still pretty interesting. There's also the replacement for The Glades on A&E that became another good TV show, Longmire, which is this sheriff in the West, and how his interaction with the native tribe, and also has a good leading lady, Katie Sackhoff, strong character. Always like to see that. And then getting into the 2020s, somehow I'm looking at my list, I'm thinking, this is getting skinny. The only real show of the 20s that I can mention that I really enjoyed, a show that was filmed in my neighborhood around Hamilton, is Reacher. The badass detective, that unravels this complicated case. And then I come to one TV show that's totally unlike anything I normally like, that I really enjoyed. Ted Lasso. Now, the premise of Ted Lasso is a jilted woman who owns a British soccer team, or football they call it. She hires an American football coach who knows nothing about soccer to manage her team. It's a professional British soccer team, thinking that he's going to destroy the team because she hates her ex-husband so much that she wants to destroy the team that he loves. Well, this, of course, backfires, but the show is cast so perfectly. The leading lady, the character name being Rebecca Welton, is just cast so perfectly. You got this statuesque, beautiful woman, an relatively unknown actress named Hannah Waddingham, that plays a perfectly strong woman, leader of a team. And I always look forward to any of our scenes. The show is, you would think it's not all about soccer. It's around soccer. It does certainly involve the rise and fall of the team. But it's really a good character development type show. I really enjoyed it. And although I really enjoyed the Rebecca's the leading lady's character, I absolutely totally fell in love with her in the third season, 6th episode, when they have an adventure in Amsterdam, and everybody kind of goes their own way, and everybody has their own little adventure. And Jason Sudeikis, I think, is one of the leading writers for this show. He crafted the most beautiful damsel in distress, tall, brooding gentleman love story that the moment she steps out of the bathroom after getting dressed and morning after, and she shows some vulnerability, and you could see it in her eyes. She just melted my heart. It was, and the few minutes that follow are, well, if you don't get a warmed heart from this love scene, you don't have a heart. So yes, that's finally, there's been a lot of stuff. There's a couple of shows that have been semi-interesting, but that one is some of the best stuff. And of course, they won some Emmys, and those were most deserved. And now, because I don't watch TV like I used to, I don't want to wait a week to see the next episode. I'm streaming now. So I don't really watch TV shows until they've finished, so that I can just watch from beginning to end and be done with it. So yeah, that's a long run up to one show I really enjoyed, Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really great television. All right, guys, that's it for this morning on this beautiful morning in Hamilton Beach. Please come back, please subscribe, please like, and I'm gonna come up with more stuff to talk about. Thank you.